Me now with more. Former Republican presidential candidate, Governor Mike Huckabee. Governor, great to see you. What do you make of that? Let's start with Mitt Romney's response, suggesting this is coddling of bigotry and disqualifying for Donald Trump.
I'm amazed that Mitt would say that. I mean, Donald Trump has repeatedly disavowed David Duke, disavowed the Klan. I don't think anybody
when did he repeatedly disavow the Klan?
Donald Trump. Well, he did it in his Twitter account. He did it on Friday.
The Klan
he did it
or
today,
David Duke?
Repeatedly. Well, both. And I don't know of anybody who has ever suggested that Donald Trump is a racist. I'm not speaking as somebody who's out there advocating for Trump. I just want to say that I just don't think that Donald Trump has given any indication that he's supportive of the Ku Klux Klan. My gosh,
not
who
except
would
in
be?
that interview is what his critics say.
To do it.
Not except in that interview is what his critics say, because it was so strange that he would say on Friday, I disavowed David Duke, and then when specifically asked on Sunday, act like he didn't know who David Duke was.
Yeah, you know, I can't answer that. You know, I really can't. You'll have to ask Donald Trump, because I haven't talked to him about it. But
how do you explain that? I mean, what his critics say is the explanation is he heard very well, and he was trying to give some sort of a dog whistle
his critics say
to people
he heard
in
very
the
well,
South
but
who
Megyn,
don't want to hear David Duke disavowed. That's what Mitt Romney's suggesting right there.
Sure, Mitt Romney wasn't on the earpiece. Neither was Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz,
but
and I
Trump
wasn't
heard,
either.
Trump
so
heard
I don't
David
know
Duke
what he
in that
heard.
earpiece. You know that because he repeated back David Duke to Jake Tapper.
Yeah, look, here's the one thing I think is important. Is Donald Trump a racist? I don't think he is. Does Donald Trump support the KKK? Heavens no. I don't think anybody seriously is suggesting that he has given a wink and a nod at the KKK. They're a deplorable, disgusting, abominable entity. I mean, sometimes I'm amazed that they even still exist. I just don't know of anybody who embraces them anymore, except a handful of crazy people.
The very point you're making,
and
that it's such a no-brainer, is what makes his response to Jake Tapper so confusing to many.
That's why I have to wonder, what did he hear? Did he misunderstand it? I just don't know. But
you know what he heard. He repeated back David Duke and white supremacists right to Jake Tapper, so you at least know he heard that.
Right, and one of the things that has happened, he has disavowed Friday, he disavowed today. I don't know why he didn't say it as clearly on Sunday to Jake Tapper. I simply don't know. But I think the issue is not why did one time out of a dozen did he stumble with that name, stumble with the question. The issue is, why don't people take all of the other different very clear answers he's given? And I don't think that this is the big issue going into Super Tuesday. I think there are important issues. Unfortunately, we've lost all of them.
If we're dealing with, you know, a difference in perception toward, you know, some Americans versus others, it's obviously relevant. That's what his critics would say. And it comes on the heels of him criticizing a judge in a case in which Trump is being sued for allegedly defrauding people subscribing to his Trump University, in which case Trump just dismissed the judge in that case and a negative ruling for Trump, saying, well, he's Spanish, or he's Hispanic. And that's fine, but he's Hispanic. So he just got hit for making an odd reference to someone's national origin a couple days before he said this. I mean, do you find that problematic? Do you find that...
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought...
Well, you're saying, I don't know why anybody would be raising this. Does anybody think that there's racism? And I'm saying this is what the critics have been hitting him for.
Well, the critics have been hitting him all over the place for everything, and I think that's part of politics. I think the whole election has gotten silly. It's gotten out of control. The back and forth with all of the candidates has become absurd. We need to be focusing on the issues that really touch every American every day. And unfortunately, we've been lost in the size of ears and hands and wedding pants and things that
That's honestly, wedding, W-E-T-T-I-N-G,
I just am amazed.
Not wedding, not like wedding pants, like your tuxedo pants.
No, not wedding,
no.
wetting.
It's actually
yes,
come to
absolutely. And it's crazy. And I think that it's time to get this whole train back on the track. And part of that would be to say that if somebody has an allegation that Donald Trump has ever, does, or perhaps one day would embrace the KKK, bring it forth. But I just don't see any evidence of that. And it's not evident in his family, his business. I think it would have shown up before now.
Understood. Governor, great to see you.
Good to see you, Megyn.